Today we have a real special human being. And when I mean a human being, I really mean it. This guy is one of the coolest guys I know, one of the nicest, most humble folks that I know out there in the world. And we're talking about Ernie Vanderleest. And it's like 28 years of law enforcement. And then he goes into the health industry, becomes an awesome leader there. He's got like a level 2 trauma spot, man, with thousands of people coming in and out every single day. He's got a lot to talk about in his life, how he made it to where he is today.
Let me tell y'all out there a little story, man, and it goes a little something like this.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls and children of all ages, it is yours truly once again, the corporate security translator and the author of So You Want to Get Into Corporate Security, coming out June 30th. It's right around the corner, and you can actually pick it up right now on Amazon if you have a Kindle. I'm not that smart, so I don't have a Kindle, but it's coming out very soon. I'm very excited to get that out there. But today we have a real special human being. And when I mean a human being, I really mean it. This guy is one of the coolest guys I know, one of the nicest, most humble folks that I know out there in the world. And we're talking about Ernie Vanderleest. And it's like 28 years of law enforcement. And then he goes into the health industry, becomes an awesome leader there. He's got like a level 2 trauma spot, man, with thousands of people coming in and out every single day. He's got a lot to talk about in his life, how he made it to where he is today. Mr. Ernie, how are you, sir?
Carlos, I'm incredible. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. I've been looking forward to this for a long time.
Really? Is it because of my voice? Or just my good looks?
No, it's the Mickey Mouse ears in the back.
I knew it, man. God, Mickey always gets them, man. Mickey always gets them. Look, I'm really excited for you to come in and give your time to the community, you know, of great law enforcement folks out there that are trying to transition and just trying to figure out what life is about and where do I go from here kind of thing. And I know you'll be able to share some of that stuff, man. So look, I don't want to waste anybody's time. Why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself and your road, my friend?
So my story is probably like everybody else's that's retired and trying to make the transition or has made the transition. Started out in patrol, became an FTO, training rookies, got on the SWAT team, became a sniper on the SWAT team, ended up wanting to work a dog. So left my first agency and went to work for a narcotics task force working down the border out in West Texas, chasing drug smugglers. That was my first taste of Malinois, and that was a fun time. It was a really fun time. Got recruited to go to Fort Worth to start an interdiction unit up there. Got a brand new dog. Ended up getting married in the process, having a baby. Started working narcotics, undercover narcotics, and this kind of progressed to criminal investigations in the courthouse. And then after 28 years, I retired and made the transition to work for the dark side.
Oh,
for defense attorneys.
Man, who does that?
Well, when a new DA comes in, they normally kind of chop off the top layer of the assistant district attorneys.
Right.
And that occurred at our place, and I really respected and loved these guys that had left. So when I retired, they kind of recruited me because the last few years of my career, I did video forensics.
Yep.
So at that time, it was kind of an up and coming kind of a thing, and so went to work for them doing some forensics on the dark side, and man, it just didn't fit my personality. After all those years of trying to catch the bad guy, and then all of a sudden you're having to wear a different hat.
Right.
And I'm all for everybody having fair trials, but it didn't fit my personality. It didn't fit my belief system.
Right.
It didn't fit it wasn't for me. And so that's whenever I started looking for some corporate security roles.
There you go, man. All right. Well, first of all, congratulations on all those years of giving back to the community. That's a heck of a lot of years, my friend. And but now as the corporate, now you could have, like I told you, you could have retired, traveled the world, because you're a big timer. And then, but no, you're like, I'm going to get into this corporate security stuff. So what happened? How did you get into it? Was there anything you were scared about when you got into it? Anything you learned?
Well, I actually did get to travel. I spent 12 weeks in a tent, basically camping from Red River, New Mexico up to Yellowstone, just in the Rockies, in the national forest. And that's a good way to clear your head from all the things that, have occurred throughout basically a 30-year career around the criminal justice system. And then I came back and started, didn't really know where to start. So I joined a networking organization called the South Lake Focus Group in South Lake, Texas, which is a suburb of Dallas-Fort Worth. And it's there where I met all these great people that were job seekers, that were HR people that were trying to show and help the job seekers make that transition to their next role. That's where I really got introduced to LinkedIn and the power of LinkedIn.
Absolutely.
And also to the acronym that they use, HOPE, help one person every day. And it was then that it snapped for me that the whole goal was not necessarily to be there for yourself, but it was to be there for somebody else and for everybody else.
Right.
And whenever you do that and that network starts growing, and you're helping other people find their next challenge, it's whenever you do that your next challenge is going to appear, because the people are going to remember, hey, he helped me and I think he's perfect for this role. Yeah. And that's how you build it. That's how you build it.
Absolutely, man. That's a great point. Now, this HOPE thing, was it just locally, or this HOPE thing is everywhere, the different cities?
South Lake Focus Group is just in South Lake. They are the largest, as I understand it, they're the largest networking organization in the United States. And it all started at a coffee shop after the dot-com bubble. Yeah. And guys started gathering around and started talking about, jobs and all this other stuff. And more people started showing up. And now, and of course with COVID it changed, but I think they're back to meeting in person now. You're talking 250 people every Thursday showing up for networking.
Wow, incredible, man. Incredible. Yep. So all listeners out there, if you got something like this in your area, you got to get out and talk. We always talk about making connections, So if you have something like this in your area, everybody, you got to get out there. You got to make connections. I mean, that's going to be the key to a lot of things in the relationship. You got to build some of that. But Ernie, so you kind of get out to these things, and all of a sudden, you start to get this itch, like, I gotta get my foot back in. So how does that happen?
So as I was doing my search, a buddy of mine calls me, and I'm talking to him, and I went to high school with him, and he's like, he does a construction company. He's like, I had a trailer stolen, had about $40,000 worth of equipment on it. And I'm trying to get the scenario from him. And I'm like, dude, you need a security guy, come in there and fix that. So he's like, you're right. So I went to work for him. And that was really the first initial step. It was a small step. It was a baby step.
Well, but you created it. I mean, you created your own opportunity. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yep. And so from there, I just kept looking for something a little larger that I felt like it fit me better. I had gone and gotten my CPP because when I joined ASIS North Texas, that was something that was mentioned to me that, hey, you really need to expand your knowledge and continue to learn in this area. It's certified protection professional, right? I'm one of them as well. ASIS is the name of the group. Listeners, if you're out there, great certification to go grab. All right, go ahead, sir. And the great thing about that is because of the different domains that are in it, it really expands. Because if you come from a law enforcement background, you're normally not about locks and lights, or maybe the business side of security and the security management. And so it really opened my eyes to some of the things that were involved in security management that I probably didn't have a full picture of, and probably still don't today, because of constantly learning. Constantly learning. So that was the key for me. I was looking for something a little more robust, where I had more responsibility and a larger span of control. And then the hospital came along.
Oh, wow. There you are, man. So once you get in there, man, and you kind of go through your interview process and everything, did you find anything weird about the interview process? Was it different than what you knew?
You know, I had interviewed with Amazon and with Google for some roles, and a couple of other large companies, and the way they do their interviews, Bank of America, it was interesting because I hadn't interviewed for anything since, you know, I sat for my oral boards,
Yeah.
you know, whenever I got in law enforcement almost 3 decades ago. So
Yeah.
it was totally different. It's a new learning process that you go through. And all of those companies, they treated me great. I learned so much from them, great respect for the process and the way they did everything. But whenever I had my interview for this role, it was a conversation.
Right.
But an interview, it was a conversation. It was hey, Ernie, these are the problems we have. What are some ideas you have to fix them?
That's it.
And for me, that's the type of interview that works great for me. Tell me what the problem is, because I love solving problems.
Right.
And I'll tell you, as long as I have enough information or I can gather enough data, because that's one of my things. I'm very analytical. Get enough data, I can give you the good ideas about how to fix this problem.
Yeah, you were like the problem solver. You know,
I love solving problems.
and I tell that people all the time, when you're setting up your resume or something like that, or you're going to an interview, you got to make sure that the interviewer know that you are their problem solver. They have a problem, you're there to help fix. So I like, great idea. So you get into this corporate world now. You got the gig. Congratulations. How did you feel? You get in there the first couple of days, first couple months, first year. What was that process like on that big kind of a big transition?
It was huge for me because at the district attorney's office, spent 20 years at the district attorney's office in Fort Worth, and we were very flat. There wasn't a lot of upward mobility, and we were flat, but we were such a great team. I mean, it's a phone call, it's a text message. Hey, I need help. And boom, you had people there to help you.
Right.
Whenever I got into this role, the first thing that I noticed is that all of those years of experience that I brought with me at this hospital setting, it brought a great deal of respect. It brought a great deal of respect from my security personnel that I was now in charge of, but also these other individuals that I was working with. Many of them highly educated, nurses running around with master's degrees in nursing and all these very educated individuals. And whenever we were able to sit down and visit, and I was able to tell them about my background and learn some about their background,
right,
it really helped us to make a really good bond.
Right.
And that's really important whenever you're trying to change culture. And that was one of the issues that I had to address here, was a culture that had been lacking in a security stance.
Yeah.
And so to get everybody to start thinking more about, not letting people tailgate, or if you do have people tailgating, do you know this person? And even then, that can be a problem, because that person that you're letting in could have been released the day before that you don't know about.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And but hospitals are kind of an open environment. And so, in the security world, you've got some environments that, man, you're really locked down and you can really control these things. And then you got the other environments, like hospitals are semi like that, but they're a little open. Then you got the retail environment, and then you got the Disneylands of the world, right? You've got tens of thousands of guests coming. And
Right.
So every situation is different, and you have to adjust your security posture for that situation. And for the hospital, for me, it was getting folks to start thinking just a little bit more about security and how they went about things. And that was a big thing for me.
Was it difficult? And that was just me now, just kind of figure out, was it difficult to get that culture through with people that are extremely intelligent. I mean, you talk about doctors and people, possibly multiple doctorates and all of that. And, here you come, prior law enforcement officer, you got the background, you understand and you know what the needs are, but now you got to tell them what to do. You don't really have the old badge kind of ability and the law behind you that you can go and fix this issue. You got to be kind, soft skills. I tell people all the time about these great soft skills they should have. Was it difficult, or did once they knew you, was there a time where they had to get to know you, like you said?
Absolutely, because you have to build that relationship and that trust between each other. I've often said that first of all, the way you change culture, in my opinion, especially folks that are very set in not wanting to change, is you have to have it one conversation at a time. And whether that is a person-to-person conversation, whether that's a small group conversation or a large group conversation, right, it really depends on the situation. The other thing I like to tell people is that whenever you're trying to change culture, in my opinion, the best way to do it is through persuasion and not coercion. Generally, it's my belief that whenever you can persuade someone to change their security beliefs and how they go about thinking about security, when you persuade them, they're more likely to keep that. When you coerce them, they may do it for a little while, and then they're going to venture back to where they were at.
Right.
They buy into it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That's an outstanding point. So for the folks that are transitioning, here's something that you need to think about. It's the culture of the place as well. And even the healthcare medical industry has one kind of a culture. If you go to the tech world, you have a different kind of a culture, the way they approach things. If you go to the hospitality world, which I grew up in, they have another way of internally kind of having their own culture. The banking industry is like a whole other, back to the suit and tie kind of federal cultures. So everybody's a little bit different, and you got to kind of figure out if that culture is going to be a fit for you, when you get in, and will you be able to operate in something like that? And then Ernie just made a couple of great points here on that stuff. Hey, Ernie, so now that you're in there and you're kind of working away, and were there some things that for the first time you came across and you're like, man, I got to go home and study it a little bit, or I've never heard of this? And usually what I get is like, I've never actually had to work with an access control system. I've had somebody tell me that one time. Was there ever a thing that you're like, oh man, I got to put a couple extra hours of this at home just to get it?
Well, it's funny that you mentioned access control system. So we run Windy SX, and obviously coming from law enforcement, I've never had to deal with access control. But because of my background in the forensics world, I had been introduced to it somewhat, but never managed it hands-on in the software itself. And so that has been the largest learning curve for me. How to set a lock, unlock a door, lock a door. Whenever we're off on 3-day holidays, we change the hours of the doors when they open and close. So it's learning that type of thing. But it's you learn it. It just takes time, right?
Oh yeah.
And so that's been a problem. I mean, most cops don't know what an access control panel is, or a reader, or how they interact with each other, or anything else. So that has probably been the biggest learning curve for me, and that was one of the things I was most excited about coming to this role, to learn that new thing, because that's just part of my personality. I want to continue to keep learning, and that's why I'm working on the ASI SPSP right now to kind of bolster that.
That's it. And PCI next, my friend. Just keep on going. Why not? But one of the things that I tell people all the time, and listeners, once again, you got to come in there, because sometimes you do 28 years, and some people will come out and they're really high brass, as high as you can go in the law enforcement world or the military world or any of the federal worlds. And then, but you got to come in with that open eye to learn once again, and really be hungry to learn and be humble, because you're kind of restarting in a way, right? And it's awesome that you take this kind of approach, because I think it has to help you. It has to help you.
Absolutely, it does, because it's a whole new environment. I had to learn the purchasing system that we use. I had to learn the performance management tool that we use. I had to learn the new timekeeping system, because I've got nine folks under me that I'm managing, and so there's a lot of new things that you have to learn. And generally, these tools that are used in the private sector may or may not have been used in the government sector. So it's a totally new transition that you have to go through. It's
Absolutely.
like being a rookie again.
Now I'm going to throw you something else that you probably had to learn that you may not have known, and I think you might agree, or you can say, Carlos, absolutely, you don't know what you're talking about, and that's perfectly fine. My wife tells me that all the time, by the way, Ernie, so it's fine. But I think one of the things that you probably had to learn too is how to deal with emergency management in a hospital type situations. So what is a cold blue and cold pink, and the different things, right? Dealing with babies, or dealing with somebody with some type of cardiac issue or something like that, and being able to either assist or not assist in those things, and then doing a lot of we take the ICS 100 classes in law enforcement and ICS 700, but the health industry, the hospitals have like their own, which is like ICS 900 or 800, something like that, right?
Well, for our facility, the Joint Commission is the accreditation arm that we have to follow the policies, procedures, and standards that they have. And so we do audits every week of different areas of the hospital to ensure that we are complying with those standards. Yeah. That has been a big deal for me, is getting on that compliance committee and learning about the different parts of the hospital and what they have to do in order to be in this compliance realm, as well as the learning the standards for the security part of it as well, because security management is a part of the environment of care standards. Yep. And so it's a constant learning process. Absolutely.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of things about that, and I think for the listeners that are out there, if you like the involvement of kind of this emergency management, these approaches, these exercises, tabletops, always doing like Ernie said, you get to do them almost every week. Out of nowhere, the alarm goes off, or whatever, the buzzer or whatever it is, and people are just kind of going to it. I happened to had a friend of mine that worked in the hospital, and I got a chance to hear about it, and it's fascinating how much exercising y'all are doing out there. It's something that the industry could probably learn from. It's the health in the hospital world. So very, very cool. Now, I told you this thing goes really fast, so we're coming up on about 23 minutes or so. So let's focus really on giving back now. What are some of the things that you think that somebody that's doing this transition, right, could really learn from your experience? What were some of the things that were important to you and really led you to where you are today?
I think one of the biggest things you can do whenever is first of all, not make the mistake I did by starting the transition and the search late. If you know you're going to be retiring in a year or 2 or 3, start that process of being involved with ASIS, or being more involved in LinkedIn, which I think is probably the most powerful tool for job search that you can have, and start developing those relationships with people. And it doesn't necessarily have to be in the security sector. One of my dear connections from the South Lake Focus Group actually sent me an email the other night for a $300,000 CISO role. And I'm not qualified for that role, but it was great that
which is Chief Information Security Officer. Got it.
Yeah, and so and that's just not a role for me, because that IT cybersecurity is not my background. Although I have a little bit of it underlying with some of the experiences I've had, that's certainly not for me. But it's things like that really make a difference. whenever you have people sending you roles that they think you may be qualified for, that really helps you in your job search, because you have to set up the search engines in LinkedIn, and if I was for Facebook, so that you get those job alerts in your area that you're looking for. Like with me, I'm totally open to going anywhere in the world for my next opportunity. Other people may have some constraints, family constraints, that keep them in Miami or Nashville or whatever. So it's important for you to understand where you're at and where you want to go, and be able to start developing that network that's going to help you to get there, but with not necessarily the goal of it helping you get there, but of you helping people along the way.
Yep.
Because that is really the key. If you help somebody else, they're going to remember that you helped them. If someone sends you a message on LinkedIn and says, hey, can you talk to me about so-and-so? Take the time to talk to them about it, because it's that type of help and helping each other and practicing help one person every day that really helps move all of us into a better situation.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. These great words of wisdom. But I want to go back a little bit on the Chief Info Security Officer. If that is something listeners, law enforcement folks, or military, whoever, are looking into getting into something like that, is a certification called Security Plus by CompTIA, CompTIA. That's a really good one for you to think about, because it gets you into the info security side of things. It's not the same as physical security or the security systems side of thing, but it gets you there. The second thing I think you mentioned there, Ernie, I think it's key, the LinkedIn idea. I mean, we all use LinkedIn. We're very involved with LinkedIn. I got some great friends of mine that are involved with LinkedIn. We try to help as many people as possible. We definitely give a lot of our time, but then if you get in a role like Ernie and you have an opportunity to get in, make sure if you're out there today and you're listening to this, open up your time, your calendar a little bit. You don't have to do everything, but just open up a little bit of time to give back to somebody that has a question, because by doing that, we're helping the entire industry. We're helping our fellow police officers. I was a police officer myself, giving back to the community. It doesn't matter if it's the military, federal, career folks. And I think that's the way we can move forward, Ernie. I'm not sure that we can continue to grow as an industry without it,
Yep, I agree. And, one of the most important things, I think, is that we continue to constantly increase our abilities and our skill sets, both individually and as a group. Cybersecurity is a big deal right now. We're seeing it all over the television, the different cybersecurity issues we had. And so, in my role, I understand with everything going, the Internet of Things and everything being networked.
IoT.
IoT, you cannot do anything from a security standpoint without having all the other stakeholders on your side, facilities, information security. Everybody has to be on the same page, and you have to work together towards a common goal. And it's getting everybody together, recognizing and coming to an understanding of what that common goal is, and then laying the foundation so that you can get to it. That's really important.
Absolutely, my friend. And you are a leader of that, Mr. Ernie. Thank you very much, my friend, for your time and giving back a little bit of this to the community, and then charging us up here at the end to go back and help those who helped us, and in return we're helping each other. It's like the circle of life. I'm right back to Disney movie. Sometimes I gotta just throw that out there, Ernie. That's just how it works for me. But yeah. But thank you again for your time, sir. You have been awesome. Thank you for giving back. By the way, everybody, please find Ernie Vanderleest online on LinkedIn. He's an awesome partner to have in your pocket. Great guy to talk to. Hey, I'm trying to get out to Texas very soon, my friend. So I'll keep you posted when I'm heading out there. I got plenty of folks to meet. I have some business out there that I run, and looking forward, man, to kind of meeting you in person and shaking hands, my friend.
Well, I'll be out at ISC West, so just travel a little bit east, and we'll do it next month or in a couple of months. Yeah, next month.
Yeah, and I'll be out at GSX in Florida because that's my hometown. So that's my hometown.
I'll be there too. But hey, Vegas is open.
Let's go. Let's go, buddy. My wife would kill me. Thank God she doesn't really watch this stuff. So, but anyways, all right, everybody. Look, we're gonna close it here right at 30 minutes. So once again, I'm Carlos, the corporate security translator and the author of So You Want to Get Into Corporate Security, coming out on June 30th. That was Ernie Vanderleest giving back to the community, talking about a heck of a lot of things. Man, I got written down. I got everything from CPP, creating your own opening when you get a chance, a little bit of interviewing, culture, changing culture, security plus with CompTIA, the relationships on LinkedIn. We covered so much on this one. It has been quite awesome. So thank you very much for everybody tuning in. We'll catch you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.